Business is a numbers game. What is the purpose of a business? And the answer from Peter Drucker is to create a customer. And in general, business is very simple. You need three main things. You need a quality product or service, you need to sell it at an affordable price, and you need to deliver it in a quality way. And money really just comes from one source, which is from other people or from customers. So therefore, making money or being in business means selling a product to a customer. And basically it means the more products you can sell to many customers, the more money you make. And therefore you should become absolutely great at sales and marketing. And that's all you have to do. So that's the real principle of business. How do you make $1 million a year? Well, it's very simple. Let's look at the numbers. Let's say you sell a product for $200 and you sell it to 5,000 people, then you have made $1 million. Or let's say your product costs $500 and you sell your $500 product to 2,000 people, and then you've also made $1 million. Or let's say your product is, let's say $1,000, obviously then it's 1,000 people. Or if your product costs $2,000, then it's 500 people, or $5,000, then it's obviously only 200 people. So you see, depending on the product that you have to sell it to more or less people. But basically, it's a numbers game. So once you know that, you can focus on the numbers. And then the numbers, once you know the numbers, you can focus on your actual activities. So what does it mean? For example, let's say you have a $2,000 product, just in this case here, and you have to sell it to 500 clients. How do you find those 500 clients? And that's going to be the main questions. So what does that break down into? Let's say 500 clients divided by 12, just as an example, it's more or less, it's about 40 clients, okay? So can you find 40 clients who spend $2,000 in a month? That's a little bit more than, 1.5 client a day or something like that. So what kind of activities do you need to put into action in order to ensure this? You see? So business is simple because it's all a numbers game. And once you know the numbers, once you know what you want, then you know what you have to do, and it translates into activities. But let's make it more simple, okay? Let's say you want to make $100,000 per year with your business. And I guess a lot of people would be happy with $100,000. You don't need to make millions of dollars to be successful as an entrepreneur. Maybe $100,000 is something that you strive for. And in this case, obviously, it's selling a $200 product to 500 people, which seems also doable, okay, depending on your online strategy or marketing strategy. Or let's say a $500 product, you sell that one to 200 people, okay? Or let's say you have here a $2,000 product. Well, in that case, you only need to sell it to 50 people, right? Or let's say your product is $5,000, coaching services, seminars, some sort of business service. Then you only need to sell it to 20 people, okay? And now look at this, for example. Let's look at the last example. $5,000 product, okay? So what $5,000 might seem like a lot of money to some people, but let's say someone invests $5,000 into your system, into your service, whatever, but it enables them to make $100,000 with that, then $5,000 compared to $100,000 is cheap, right? So it depends on how you sell it, what it is, and so forth. But let's say you generate $5,000 here, and you sell it to 20 people. 20 people in a year seems very realistic and doable. And you don't need the whole world. You just need 20 people. So how do you find 20 people? Well, that's the next question. But basically, it's very simple and it's very doable. Let's make it even simpler. Let's take $100,000 Okay, we take $100,000. Let's say that's what you want to achieve in a year. What does that translate into a daily goal? And it translates into about $300 per day. And let's say you have one product that you generate $300 with by selling it to one customer once a day. You have 10 hours, let's say, of business time. So all you have to do is you have to focus your efforts in making one sale per day. And let's say, just as an example, you need to make 10 sales calls in order to generate one client, in order to make $300 a day, in order to make $100,000 a year. So once you break it down, and you break it down not just into monthly goals, but also daily goals and daily activities, you know what needs to be done. You see, everything is a numbers game. Business is a numbers game, and it's based on the law of probability. Okay, it's based on the law of cause and effect. So whatever causes you set into motion will give you certain results or effects. So therefore, you have the typical sales funnel. I'm sure you've heard of the typical sales funnel. Let's say we have here a sales funnel, and leads are being generated that come into the general sales funnel up here. And then you have a certain process, and at the bottom here you have clients. Okay, and let's look at some numbers. Let's say you have 100 leads that you put into the top, okay? 100 people who order a free brochure, who show a general interest in your products and services. And then let's say you call them up and you say, hey, I have this, I saw you got some information, and you talk about it and you do your sales pitch. And then let's say out of these 100 people, let's say you can talk to 20, okay, and 20 are willing to have a longer discussion. Out of those 20, 5 clients, are likely to close. And in the end, let's say you have one deal or one client closed. Okay, so that's 100 to 1. And you see, by the law of averages, there is always a percentage that will buy your product, okay? Even if they feel sorry for you because, you begged them to buy your product. So whatever it is. But there's always someone going to be, who's going to buy your product. So now here's what you have to do. Obviously, the better quality leads you have here, and the better you do your sales pitch and presentations, the better are your percentages or numbers, and the more clients you will get. But basically, you need to figure out, what are your business numbers? How many people do you need to talk to or make the sales pitch or the presentations or need to come in contact with your company before you can actually make a sale? And once you know these numbers, then you can start to tweak and improve and change things and make it better so that you close more deals. You see, business is like math, okay? You can calculate how much money you want to make. And the only person standing in your way is yourself. If you're not lazy or afraid of rejection or afraid of failure, then there is not really a limit to what you can achieve. You see, sales are contingent on the attitude of the salesperson, of you, and not of the market or the prospect and so forth. Because in the market right now, let's say the same industry with similar products and services, there's people making 10 times more money than you are. And the reason is because they take the responsibility on by themselves. They know their numbers, they know what they have to do, and they don't blame the circumstances and other people or blame the clients or the market or the economy and so forth. They figure out a way how to make it work, and so should you. You see, as a businessman or as a salesperson, basically it's the same thing, because 74% of all business people are directly involved into sales. And therefore, if you don't put in the hours, and I mean into sales activities, into income producing activities like sales and marketing, talking to clients, setting up meetings and so forth, those are the activities that you need to be focusing on instead of reorganizing the office, putting the binders in the office in a nice row and so forth. So all these administrational things don't really help you to generate any income or business. You need to focus 80% of your time on income generating activities if you want to succeed in any kind of business. And so therefore, nothing will work. Nothing, your ideas and your business principle and everything, nothing will work unless you do the work, unless you work. And working means selling. And selling means making money, and that means being successful. And if you don't sell, and if you don't work, and you don't put in the hours, then all your ideas are worthless. So therefore, you need to make sales and marketing your number one activity in your business. You see, most people are afraid of contacting clients. They're afraid of rejection and they're afraid of failure. And sometimes these fears are so strong then people will do whatever it takes to avoid that. They rather suffer, make no money, and cower down than rather to just pick up the phone and talk to someone. But the problem is, it's not going to change anything. You're not going to get anywhere unless you confront your own fears, unless you actually do the work. And I want to give you an extreme example. Let's say that someone that you love, okay, someone that you love is dying. Someone needs an operation and it costs $50,000 for that operation. And let's say you have 30 days to pay that bill for that operation, or otherwise that person is going to die. And let's assume that person is your mother, your father, your spouse, or even your own child. And you can save them, but you need to make $50,000 by the end of the month, and you have 30 days. Now here's the question. Would you be able to save that person? Under these extreme circumstances, would you be able to come up with the sales and the commission to generate $50,000? What would you do? Would you go crazy making phone calls, knocking on doors, talking to people, work hours on end and see if people will buy your product so that you make the commission so that you have enough money saved for the operation? Would you do that in order to save that person's life? And the answer is, of course you would. Of course you could. Okay? But here's the question. Why don't you do it today? Why are you today not working like crazy, generating $50,000, making all these phone calls, and making your life happen? And the reason is because you are afraid and you don't have enough compelling goals. So go within, okay? Face your fears. Write down, what are you really afraid of? What's the worst that could really happen? Then also, what is it that you want to achieve? What are your goals? And then you must make those goals a must. Not just, oh, it would be nice to have a new sports car. No, you must have the sports car. And what does it translate into? And so forth. So you must make it a must. So compelling goals and facing your fears. You see, nothing that's worthwhile comes easy. And therefore, you have to work for it. And there's no two ways about it. Self-discipline is necessary. Putting in the hours is necessary. Working maybe 8 hours a day, and then out of that 8 hours, you really only work 50%, because in the other 50% you waste time with talking to colleagues and going for long extended lunches and checking the internet and things like that. If you do that, then you're not going to be successful. But if you work 10, 12 hours and so forth, and you put in the hours and you work, when you work effectively on trying to focus on income generating activities, that's when you're going to succeed. And even if things are difficult, even if the market is difficult, even if whatever circumstances you have are difficult, if you talk to enough people and you put in the hours, by the law of averages, you will succeed. Some clients will stick. Some result will happen. But if you don't do anything, the result is 0. The next thing is called client segmentation. And we have, let's say, A clients, B clients, and C clients. And A clients can be clients that, let's say, are making $100,000 per year plus, okay? B clients are anywhere, let's say, from $50,000 to, let's say, $100,000. And let's say C clients, they make less than $50,000 per year, okay? For example. Okay, so now, what should you focus your time on? Okay, well, obviously, you want to focus your time where you make most money, where you can make more commissions, where people have more potential and more buying power and whatever it is. So you want to focus your activities on A clients. Obviously, only having A clients is not realistic, so you need to maybe have A and B clients. But the problem might be that you are focusing your energy and time on C clients. And because you're only in that C segment and you're constantly talking to C clients, that's why you're not getting ahead. That's why you're not getting further. And here's the interesting thing. It takes exactly the same amount of time and effort to talk to an A client as it does to talk to a C client. And A clients know other A clients, so referrals from A clients are other, let's say, good customers, whereas C clients know other C people and even D people, okay? So therefore, it's very important what kind of, let's say, segment you talk to, what kind of income bracket you spend your time in, because you need to be focusing on people who have the ability to do a sale. And the better quality leads and contacts you have, the better is going to be your business. How do you generate high quality leads? Well, there are three main strategies or way that I want to present to you. Number one, a marketing sales team or a small mini call center. And how does that work? Well, okay, here's the issue. If you're starting out with a new business, usually you are, afraid of making phone calls. You already try to organize everything, juggle everything, and so forth. And it's easy to get discouraged in the beginning because of a lot of rejection that you're getting. And let's say, and that's a normal part of business, let's say someone makes 100 phone calls every day to prospective clients. And out of the 100 phone calls, you get 95 people saying no and 5 people saying yes, okay? And that's a very realistic number, okay? So let's say you make 100 calls and someone says, no, I'm not interested, please don't call me again, and you get all this, let's say, negative energy and rejection. But 5 people say, yes, send me the info, yes, I'm generally speaking interested, and so forth. So this first step, you see this first level here of weeding out the good names and the bad names. That takes a lot of time and energy, and it's something that is very emotional and can crush your motivation and your happiness, so to speak. So therefore, I would hire, let's say, 5 marketing people in a mini call center. And let's do the math here, and it's very simple. Let's say you pay someone $10 per hour, okay? And they make phone calls for 5 hours per day, okay? And that's 5 days a week, okay, times 4 weeks, which means you pay them a base salary of $1,000 per month, okay? That's what this person is going to cost you. Now, you generate 5 leads per day times 5 days a week times 4 weeks. So you generate 100 good quality leads from one person alone. Okay? So you can follow up with the second phone call and you say, hey, my marketing assistant called you. She sent you some general information about our company and I'm just following up. And then you have an opportunity to make a sale to a person who has already shown a general interest in your company and your products, who is generally speaking open to talk to you and to listen, and that is 80% of the success. You see? So once you have that, then being able to use whatever you can use in your sales process is going to make it so much easier. Now let's say out of these 100 leads you generate, let's say, 5 clients, okay? And those 5 clients, let's say, spend each $1,000 or whatever, and you make $5,000 in this example here with those 5 clients, okay? Now, you deduct the $1,000 that you pay your marketing assistant, so you have $4,000 left. Maybe you give her a certain percentage of your sale, okay, or something like that as an incentive, and I would do that. But basically, you don't have to generate the leads yourself. They're being handed to you and all you have to do is follow up, which is much easier, much simpler. So all you have to do is you have to generate a script, give it to the person who makes the phone call, and that's all they do. They're just used to making the calls. They just weed out the good names from the bad names. And this way you can generate leads and sales. And now let's say you don't just have one person, but you have 5 people or 10 people, so to speak, and you have between 500 and 1,000 leads each month. How much more business could you make happen? Another strategy is an online strategy, okay? And this is how it works. Obviously, a lot of people today are on social media like Facebook and so forth. So you run a Facebook ad for $20 or $50 or whatever it's going to take. And you offer a free PDF report, okay? So you say, let's say you're a financial advisor, for example. You say stock market outlook from 2017 to 2020, or the 8 most common mistakes that investors make, or how to generate a monthly income with stocks and options. So someone who's, let's say, has an interest in getting some, investments done, they will say, oh, let's see what they say. Oh, let's click on it. So they get a free PDF report, but in return, they have to give you the name and their email address, and maybe even the phone number, and a salesperson can follow up and can say, hey, you requested our free report, blah, 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 and then they can start a conversation, you see? It's better than to make let's say, a cold call with the phone book, okay? It's because they already have shown a general interest in the topic. They have received some value, some information with some good things. And then you can just follow up with a second call. And it makes it so much easier. And the next thing is, let's say, the question of marketing is always, who is your ideal customer? Your ideal customer is he male or female? What kind of income level does he have? What kind of hobbies is he interested in? All these kind of factors. So let's say you are advertising to people who are interested in horses because you sell horse saddles, okay, just as an example. So you want to have a very specific profile of people who would be, let's say, your ideal customer profile. Well, guess what? There are companies out there who specialize in those kind of lists, okay? So like you can contact a list broker where you can say, hey, I'm looking for a person between the ages of 35 and 45, male, income level $80,000 plus, interested in horses, and so forth. And then you get exactly those kind of names and nothing else. And once you have a real clear target group, those people are going to be very open and interested in listening to what you have to offer if it matches, your product. So therefore, contact a list broker and get exactly the kind of names that you need. And sometimes paying that kind of money to a list broker, maybe they've even done the initial screening call or so forth, might be well worth it and might be a better way than just making phone calls by yourself, doing all these cold calls and not getting anywhere. Another thing is called bait. Use bait, let's say you give them something for free, okay? You offer a free product, and the product doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the end product that you're trying to sell. It might just be a general offer for something where someone says, oh, that's good, I want to take advantage of that. But then it gives you a reason to follow up, okay? Then you are allowed to follow up because you already gave them something. You're not just calling out of the blue. And there's already a certain trust and so forth. So think about what kind of product could you offer for free in advance, and then get the name or the contact info in return. You see, as I said, business is a numbers game, and it takes sometimes time, okay? Because it takes time to build up a certain number of clients. Let me give you 2 examples. Let's say if you want to become a stockbroker, the first 3-4 years as a stockbroker are very difficult because why? Well, you have to gather clients. You have to build up your portfolio of clients. You have to open up accounts. You have to get assets under management. And the more assets under management you have, the more trading you can do, the more trades you can do, the more you can charge. So, but eventually, let's say after 10 or 20 years, maybe you have $100 million under management from your investors, from your clients, And then let's say you charge 1% annual fee or whatever, and you make $1 million a year. You see, over time, the numbers can work in your favor. Sometimes the beginning, the first couple of years is hard, but then over time, it's worthwhile. So think about your business strategy. What is it that you're trying to achieve in the long run? Another example is from a very practical example where I was a client myself when I incorporated my first company. So there's a company in Nevada that does incorporations, okay? So they just file a company for you. So you pay a few $100s for your incorporation, but then every year you pay them for the registered agent service, which is an annual thing, $100 a year. So $100 doesn't seem like much, but the person who started this business already over the last 10, 15 years developed over 10,000 clients. So he has 10,000 clients who pay $100 every year, which translates into $1 million, okay, every year that automatically comes in. Plus, because he has repeat business and they want a new company, another filing and this and that, he makes it about another $1 million. So he makes about $2 million every single year, pretty much automatically with the existing 10,000 clients that he has. And he has 7 employees, pays them about $30,000 each. And so you can see every year he makes a lot of money simply, and he doesn't even live in Nevada, he lives in California. So automatically he generates repeat business over and over again because he has a database of existing clients. And sometimes being in a business means looking at the long term, looking at building up clients and then having annual or repeat customers or business. Maybe you have the goal to become a billionaire one day, okay? How do you become a billionaire? Well, obviously you need to own shares in a big company and you need to start your business. But maybe you just want to become a millionaire one day. And becoming a millionaire means obviously creating a company, creating business, generating sales, and maybe today you are a millionaire. You have zero money or little money, okay? But that's okay. So stage 1 is being a millionaire, then a millionaire, then a billionaire. Okay, so where are you today? Well, it doesn't really matter because everyone who started in business or in life started at zero. Everyone started as a millionaire unless they inherited the money. So typically someone who makes $50,000 a year today started with $50,000 making in 1 year, and then 10 years later they made $1 million. They started with $50,000. So even if you only make $50,000 today, you can become the person who will make $1 million a year one day. Okay, and the reason is only time, because sometimes all you have to do is you have to stick with it, you have to learn, you have to grow, you have to make things better, or you have to make sales. And so therefore you can learn anything from people in the same industry who are more successful than you are today. And you can read books, you can go to seminars and courses, and the answer is you should. Because the difference between you and someone who makes $1 million today is knowledge. Okay, the difference is they figured out a way how to make it happen. And the only reason why you are not making $1 million today, maybe while you're only making $50,000 today, is because of a difference in knowledge or strategy. And that's all it is. And therefore, you need to educate yourself. Common thinking will give you a common life. Okay? And you can't become financially independent with a regular 9-to-5 job. You will need a different strategy. And there was once a man, he was about $1.5 million in debt. And 3 years later, he had $2 million in the bank. And then he was asked the question, how did you get yourself out of the situation? And his answer was, I could not look for a regular 9-to-5 job to solve my problems. I had to think bigger and I had to think outside the box or outside the normal options. You see, most people only think about if they want to become successful financially, they only think about how can I get promoted? How can I get a better job? They look for other companies. So basically, they use the same vehicle, having a job, the same system of having a job to make more money. But the truth is that that's not the right strategy to get ahead in life, okay? You need to think outside of the box. You need to think in different options. And there are many ways how you could do that. And I'm just going to give you 20 examples, okay? 20 examples. And it's just random brainstorming of how you could do it differently. For example, obviously you can start your own business and you could import from a product from a foreign country and sell it here, okay? Just as a basic concept. Or you could become a professional investor. You trade stocks and options and you have a certain strategy and every month you generate, 10% or something like that. Or you could start an online business and let's say you sell 1,000 products for $1,000 and make $1 million a year. Possible. Or you could make a big transaction happen between, let's say, a small company who's just starting out and a big venture capital firm, and you get a finder's fee for several $100,000. Or you could buy, let's say, a piece of real estate. You buy a big piece, you turn it around, find the right person, the right buyer, and basically make the transaction in one go and sell it to another party. Or you could, let's say, raise $10 million from a pharmaceutical company and get 10% in commission. And that pharmaceutical company is a startup company and you get some shares and everything. Or you could produce cheap products in China and sell them, let's say toys or plastic items or clothes or whatever, and you sell them here because you buy it in big proportions. Or you could buy foreclosed homes and fix them up and sell them for $100,000 more per piece. And you do this 10 times a year. Okay, so you see, I have a lot more examples. But basically, think creatively. Think outside of the box. Don't think, oh, how could I find a better job? And how can you make business opportunities happen? And there are lots of business opportunities in the market. And there's lots of things that you can do to generate business, to make things happen. Remember, people make their money in oil, in real estate, or natural resources. For example, let's say you go to Texas, you find a piece of land, and you find an oil deposit. You invest a few $100,000 by raising money from investors, drill a hole, and you find, let's say, oil, a few million barrels, and boom, you've got it made. Or you find a gold mine somewhere, which means you do some geological testing. And I didn't say it was easy, okay? It's never easy, okay? Because otherwise everybody would be doing it. But lots of people are doing it. So it's possible, it's doable. So it's not easy, but it's doable. But I want to encourage you to think outside of the normal options of just having another job and try to think in how could you make business happen? Even if it's difficult, even if it's just not an easy solution at first, but just, you have to choose because life is hard, okay? Or business is hard. It's hard to be an employee working 40 hours a week, being told what to do, not making enough money and so forth. But it's also hard to start your own business and make it that way. But you have to choose between the two hearts. So you're going to have to choose between some sort of pain anyway. So you might as well choose the pain that brings you financial independence. Then I also want to encourage you to build an online business, to become an expert in online marketing. Because everything that you want to learn can be learned today for free on the internet. Let's say you want to learn about rocket science, okay? You can do that. Okay, you can become a doctor, technically speaking, because all the information is on the internet. And there's countless opportunities for you available today to make money, okay? And the great thing is this is at the best time in history. Okay, we are at the beginning of a new time. The world is connected. You can reach people in a matter of seconds. You can reach 100,000 people with one email, one video, one message within seconds, okay, all over the world. That's logistically, it was impossible in the past, but today it's possible. You can make money 24/7, even when you're sleeping, because you have an online shop. So there are things possible. Let's say you record a sales presentation. You do it once, but then it's being played thousands of times over and over and over of people who watch your sales video. And you can make money that way. So there are opportunities available that have never been there before. And you should be creative and learn everything about internet marketing and use the power of the internet. And let me tell you why. Because right now, nothing is regulated. You can pretty much do whatever you want. There is no laws or rules. It's still, everything is doable and possible. Who knows, in 10 years, maybe, things change, laws come into place. It's going to be harder. But right now, we're in the best time. There's some people, let's say general, regular people who have, let's say insurance agents, for example, who want to sell you different insurances. Well, their life is getting harder because people can go online and they can compare the insurances themselves. Or there's new businesses or services who do the comparison for you. So some jobs have become obsolete. Some jobs are dying out, where at the same time, new businesses or new opportunities arise and the new internet millionaires are being generated. For example, Frank Kern made $18 million in 24 hours, okay, through his online business. That wasn't possible, in the past. Or John Rees made $1 million in 1 hour. Or Jeff Walker's product launch formula generated over $500 million in sales. So you have to just see and recognize what a huge opportunity this is, what a great time we're in, the power of social media, the power of the internet, the connectivity and everything. Use it to your advantage. So think smart, think how you can generate a business, learn everything there is to learn about it, and then don't waste any more time and get going. And finally, I want to encourage you to pick something that you love, okay? Because there's always going to be problems in business, because that's normal. And people rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they're doing. And let's say, things get hard, but there's a topic that you don't really like and love, you're more likely to give up. Because once things get tough or there's big obstacles and you're not really happy about the product or the topic in general, then, you might change careers or give up and so forth. But once you commit to something, let's say for the next 20 years, that you say, hey, I love this topic, I will always love this topic, I will find a product within that and make it work, then you have the passion, you have the energy and the excitement to keep going whenever things get tough. So don't wait till things happen. Make things happen today. I wish you all the best and all the energy and power that you need to make things happen. And let me know how things work out for you. I'm excited to hear your success stories. And remember, business is a numbers game.